yeah, is it Saturday already? Have we made it through yet another week of Star Wars news? It feels like, I don't know, for the last month and a half, maybe even 2 months, we've just been getting some insane Star Wars news, and the trend did not end today. Because we got Hera Syndulla actress Mary Elizabeth Winstead giving us a major update on Ahsoka Season 2, and if that's not good enough for you, the maker himself, George Lucas, is talking Star Wars and how well he's never coming back. But we got to talk about that too. And for you Acolyte fans out there, I got something pretty cool. I got something pretty cool in terms of Acolyte news, if you could even call it that. But we got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday afternoon? It's the weekend. Nobody hates the weekend. Like, what's wrong with you if you hate the weekend? But it's the weekend, and it's the best time to talk Star Wars news because we got Ahsoka Season 2, which is just, I mean, come on. The hype for this second season of this Ahsoka series is unbelievably high right now. And George Lucas himself, the creator of the thing we call Star Wars, is talking Star Wars, so we got to talk about that as well. But before we do any of that, let's start the stream the only way we know how, shall we? By saying hi to everybody in the chat. Matthew, what's up? John Groom in the house. Brandon Baker, how we doing? Nathan, what is up? Not a Fed, still don't believe you. How we doing? Holly in the house. Tavari Tano, what is up? Life of a Rose, how we doing? Papa Boss, how we doing? Darth Plagueis lives in the house. Nathan, what is up? Max Rebo Experience is done raking his leaves. I appreciate it. Ian, how we doing? That's not very nice, but I love it. Dustin Kennedy, how we doing? King Shadow in the house. Felix, what is up? I think that's Felix. Navarro, how we doing? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little,
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so I feel like we got to start with the Ahsoka Season 2 news. I mean, it seems like we've been talking Ahsoka Season 2 for a millennium now. But last stream, and Tuesday's stream actually, this week has sort of been the Mando week. We've been talking a lot of Mandalorian and Grogu because Sigourney Weaver gave us an update on her character. Sorry, Sigourney Weaver. I really apologize. That was, I don't know what just came over me. Jeremy Allen White gave us an update on how big a role Rada the Hutt, or Stinky, is going to be playing in this Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So we've been talking a lot of Mando, you know? And Ahsoka felt jealous, I guess, because now we're back. Ahsoka Season 2 plot. We got to talk about this. Mary Elizabeth Winstead giving us all the greatness for Ahsoka Season 2. But actually, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. So I found this perfect recap for the Mandalorian and Grogu news. So let's take a look at this first. Let's give a little end cap to our Tuesday, Thursday live stream with this Mandalorian and Grogu weekly report. This is pretty good. They condense it all into one little spot. We get all the updates for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie from this week. So let's take a quick look at this. So first things first, the official Mandalorian GIFs, or GIFs for some of you weird people out there, GIFs account has leaked that it was indeed Rada the Hutt in the Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, was there any doubt on that? And the name of Sigourney Weaver's character. We all thought it was going to be Colonel Bishop for some reason. I guess the reference to the Alien franchise. But this is confirming that it's Colonel Ward. So I guess believe what you want to see. Next up, we got Jeremy Allen White confirms that Pedro Pascal is still doing voice work for the Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, that's to be assumed. They're in post-production now, and he'll be doing voice work probably up until the movie releases, because a lot of things probably change through the course of this movie. Jeremy Allen also said how involved he is in the Mandalorian and Grogu and how exciting it was. He got to meet Jon Favreau, who directed the film in the series prior, and he's been such a big fan of John's for a long time. He even said, wait, would you like to come in? Sorry, and maybe talk about doing something, just a voice for Star Wars. And he said, I love Star Wars. I'd be happy to. And that's how he got the role of Rod of the Hutt. Hey, John Favreau, I like Star Wars too. I like Star Wars. I'd be Stinky the Hutt or Zero the Hutt. I'd be any Hutt, just put me in the background. I'll be anything. Okay. Sorry. Just, I know John's watching this live stream, so just had to throw that out there just in case. Sigourney Weaver also said that she was only on set for a few days, meaning that her role is going to be very, very small. And that is in line with the leaks that we've been talking about, how her role in this movie will not be a big one. We'll put it that way. It will be very, very small. Very small. And the latest and greatest that we barely kind of talked about on Thursday was Katie O'Brien. She plays Elia Kane in The Mandalorian Season 3. She confirms that she will not be in The Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but she says she doesn't know if there'll be a Season 4, but she's, assuming that if there will be one, then she'll come back for that. Honestly, I don't think she's in the movie either, but, just a little bit of confirmation for that. I don't think we'll be seeing Coruscant much, if at all, in this Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So that's the recap. Really putting it condensed into only a couple bullet points here, but that was what we sort of talked about all week. Tuesday, Thursday's live stream, all this Mandalorian and Grogu greatness. It's cool. It's really, really cool. We don't know much about the plot of this movie. Is it just going to be about Embo and Stinky the Hutt? I certainly hope not. But it does give us a little bit more of a behind-the-scenes look at least two specific characters that we know for a fact will be in the movie, Stinky the Hutt and Colonel Ward. But now today we got to talk about Ahsoka Season 2. Because, yeah, The Mandalorian and Grogu, great, yeah, but whatever. This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins.
So, Hera Syndulla, who I feel like we haven't talked about at all when it comes to Ahsoka Season 2 leaks. We've talked about Baylan Skoll and what he's up to, Sabine and Ahsoka and Anakin and the Force Ghosts and the flashbacks to the Mortis Gods and even Ezra Bridger and Shin Hati. We've talked about all these different characters, but never is Hera Syndulla mentioned. Now, maybe that's because they're keeping it a secret and she's up to no good and she's doing some crazy thing that we don't even know about. Or maybe it's just a coincidence. But either way, we got some updates from Mary Elizabeth Winstead herself. And if you didn't know, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is actually married to Ewan McGregor. So Hera Syndulla and Obi-Wan Kenobi are married in real life. I'm sorry, Kanan, if I'm the one who had to tell you that, but she's moved on. Yeah. This also comes off the backs of the report that Jason Syndulla, the young Jason Syndulla from Season 1 is confirmed to be in Season 2. Now, that doesn't really come as much of a surprise, but it still is very important because where there's Jason, there's likely to be Hera, and what those two are up to could be pretty damn important in this second season. So let's get to the brass tacks, shall we? Let's get to the big old news here. So let's take a look at this. Actually, first, leave you guys on a cliffhanger there. If you haven't smashed a freaking like in this stream, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Get on it. But let's put up a poll. Do you think? Let's start it out early, chat. Do you think Hera Syndulla, there we go, will die in Ahsoka Season 2? Yes or no? What do we think? Oh, super chat. Start off the live stream. I like that. Not a Fed says, tax fraud? Jalapeno burgers? Ahsoka / Watto team up? I don't understand. I feel like Not a Fed is just trying to get me on something. I don't know what it is. If I go dark, chat, if you don't see me for a couple days, it was his fault. Or her fault, I guess. It was Not a Fed's fault, okay?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay, but I appreciate the super chat, I guess. I'm a little scared for my life, but What are you gonna do? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Couldn't have put it better myself. Ahsoka might become a god by the end of this, a Mortis god. I mean, she might be. She might be. But let me, before you guys, I mean, the poll is 80-20 right now. 80% of you saying no, she won't die at the end of the season. I have good reason, and good reason, i.e., the theory that I came up with in my head, good reason to think that Hera Syndulla will die in this second season. I'll leave you with that for now. So let's read this article first, and then I'll tell you. Usually I wait a couple minutes to the live stream before I start killing off characters, but this one's important and makes sense. So before you jump on my back, go, Mike, what are you doing? Why are you killing Hera Syndulla? You crazy maniac. Wait. Just wait. Hear me out. God. Give a guy a break every once in a while. You act like I kill off characters left and right. Okay, let's get into this article. Ahsoka Season 2. Mary Elizabeth Winstead teases extended role with plenty of action. The hype for the second season of Ahsoka is slowly ramping up. I mean, slowly. We're at like the steepest incline you could possibly climb. With the stars and creators sharing their excitement for the upcoming Disney Plus series, which will continue the adventure of Anakin Skywalker's former Padawan and her companions, Mike English, in the New Republic era, while promoting her latest feature, the hand that hand that rocks the cradle. I'm not even seeing things. I'm hallucinating. Mary Elizabeth Winstead spoke to Collider, and naturally, the conversation included her role as General Hera Syndulla of the New Republic. Okay. I'm going to turn the chat back on today. If you were here on Thursday, you know why I shut it off in the first place. But I'm hoping you guys have, I don't know, matured a little bit. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Okay. In season 1, Hera ally. Should we just restart the stream? Like, I can't even speak English today. I don't know what's going on. I'm already killing off Hera Syndulla in the first 10 minutes of a live stream. Like, what's going on? Is it because it's a Saturday? Has my brain shut off? Are we just on weekend time? Are we on vacation, chat? What is this? I don't know. Well, let's keep going. So, hang on. We got a super chat. Darth Legacy lives with a very generous $10 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, finally, something about Hera. I know, right? Also, do you think George will ever come back? Oh, we'll talk quite a bit about George Lucas later on in the live stream, but my short answer, yes. Okay. Getting back to this, though, since I've been so rudely interrupted. Okay. So in season 1, Hera allied with her friends Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren to investigate Imperial activity linked to Grand Admiral Thrawn. Together, they uncovered a plot to build the Eye of Sion, which not enough people talk about, let's be honest. A massive hyperspace ring that with enough power to jump to another galaxy. You know, I really don't understand where the hate for Ahsoka comes from. Not the character specifically, but the show. Like, just that line right there, you know. Together, Ahsoka, Sabine, Hera Syndulla, they uncover a plot to build the Eye of Sion, a massive hyperspace ring that has enough power to jump to another galaxy. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to season 1 of Ahsoka. But, you know, just that alone. Come on. Okay. Ahsoka was able to follow the ship to Peridia by hitching a ride with some migrating Purgle, while Hera Syndulla remained behind to face the New Republic tribunal. Okay. Nope, that's not English. Dodging a bullet, though, there's some indirect help from Princess Leia Organa herself, which I do believe we will be seeing in Ahsoka Season 2. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is coy about revealing details, but teases that her character will have more action in the second season. Now, Season 1, Hera is a main character. Even when Ahsoka leaves the galaxy, she's still getting screen time. She's still, you know, having an arc. But season 2, I think we'll see a lot more Hera, as she still is going to be defying the orders of the New Republic. So here's what she had to say. I'm not sure what I can say other than that am in this season a bit more, which is fun. I'm definitely in a lot of action, as you say, quite a bit more, which was great to have Hera really kind of like, get some stuff done. So yeah, I honestly, I'm not going to say much more than that just because I haven't been given my guidelines yet. That's interesting. I guess we're still a year away, but yeah, I guess we're still pretty far away. So I'm going to leave it at that. But it was so much fun. I just finished it, again, confirming that filming just ended 2 weeks ago now. Yeah. And it was an absolute blast. I loved every minute of it. So I can't wait for people to see it. Yeah, me and you both, Mary. So not only telling us that her character is going to play a way bigger role in this second season, but also that she's going to be in a lot more action. Now, this does make sense. We'll get back to the rest of this article in a second. This does make sense because we've heard from Dave Filoni himself at Star Wars Celebration that this is going to be a war in our Star Wars with Grand Admiral Thrawn versus the New Republic, specifically Admiral Akbar. And give me a 1 into the chat if you've read the Heir to the Empire Legends trilogy, because if you have, then you know how Admiral Akbar is sort of the General Hera Syndulla in that story, where he is defying what the New Republic wants him to do, because he sort of just wants to join the fight, much like Radis, Admiral Radis, is that his name? From Rogue One, when they're all like, no, we shouldn't go help them on Scarif, and he's like, I'm going anyway. Screw you guys. I'm going anyway. So those are the same species, so maybe it runs in the family. But Admiral Akbar is the same way, at least in Legends. So hopefully we'll see a similar thing in canon, where he's sort of defying the rules and orders of the New Republic, and that's why he's fighting Grand Admiral Thrawn. But we shall see. It's weird that they're putting Admiral Akbar out in front because General Hera Syndulla is right there, but maybe she's in trouble still because of what happened last season. Either way, we know that there's going to be a war in our Star Wars, and the Ghost crew, specifically Hera Syndulla, will be very much involved with that. I mean, obviously. So the best part about this is that we already have concept art images that explain exactly what's going to happen with Hera Syndulla. Maybe if you've been living under a rock for the last, 6 months, 7 months maybe, then you haven't seen this. But at Star Wars Celebration, Dave Filoni graciously gave us these images. And one of the most important ones, now more than ever, after Mary Elizabeth Winstead gave us this update, is this. So we got a ton of different behind-the-scenes sort of, these are, I guess, concept art because they hadn't started filming yet. But this places Hera Syndulla on a planet that looks like Dathomir next to, I don't know, that guy kind of looks dead to me. Maybe a living officer, but I'm not too sure. And Chopper, who looks like he's struggling over here too. He's on his side and he's, struggling quite a bit. So placing her right in the middle of the action, if this is truly Dathomir, which, by the way, we got another, you got some Night Sisters there with the same red hue. You got Grand Admiral Thrawn in his sort of cockpit, I guess, looking at a map of something, a war map maybe, sitting in his throne like a badass with that same red hue. So if this is truly Dathomir, that places Hera Syndulla right in the middle of the danger, right in the home of Thrawn's people, or not people, but Thrawn's, at least, Night Sisters that he brought home to Dathomir from Peridian. So yeah, Hera's going to be right smack dab in the middle. And let's not forget, Hera has quite a few run-ins with Grand Admiral Thrawn already. If anybody knows the big blue meanie, it's her. So the New Republic, I'm sure, is still going to be like, no, we don't believe you. No, who cares? Thrawn's the that's what they sound like. But she will have to do this all by herself, leading her and probably a select few New Republic soldiers and Chopper to go to, and probably Ezra too, and go to Dathomir herself to try and stop the Grand Admiral. And I mean, come on. You're talking about New Republic soldiers, Hera Syndulla, Ezra Bridger, Chopper, and maybe Zeb, because Zeb's supposed to be in season 2. Maybe Zeb if we're lucky. Versus Night Sisters. Maybe undead Night Sisters. I don't even know. Whatever the Night Sister things that they were bringing home with them from Peridia, that's who they'll be fighting. That's who they'll be fighting. Akbar is a brilliant military tactician in the Republic's answer to Thrawn. I don't understand the comparison to Hera. I love her, but she doesn't have the same skills as him. Yes and no. I mean, yes, Akbar has more experience in being a military mind. And I guess Hera's more of a pilot than she is a tactician. I agree with you there. But it's more so that Hera has the experience with Thrawn that Akbar doesn't. And that's going to put her steps a lot above what Akbar can do to Thrawn. Understanding Thrawn is very, very different than just fighting Thrawn. Yeah. The Ghost Crew all dies? Mike says so? No, I did not. No, I did not. I just said Hera Syndulla dies, okay? And I'll get to why in a second. Actually, you know what? Let's get to why now. So not only is she sitting here on Dathomir, on the home planet of where Thrawn, or the base planet of where Thrawn is, with the Night Sisters, clearly in a, in a bad spot. But I think Hera will die because of what it will do for the other characters around them. First of all, Chopper's going to be really upset. And you want to see a Chopper who's going to go kill a bunch of stormtroopers? It's going to be the one who watches Hera Syndulla die. But it's also the fact that she has Jacen. Jacen Syndulla, named after, or we assume he's named after because it's spelled Jacen. That's not usually how Jason is spelled. But named after Jacen. Hang on. Is it spelled the same way? I don't even know anymore. I'm contradicting myself. Let's see. Is it spelled the same way? It is. Okay. Named after the legendary legacy character Jacen Solo. It is spelled the same way. Jacen. Jacen Solo in Legends, if you don't know who that is, he's a character, of course, son to Leia and Han, who, much like Ben Solo in canon, goes down a dark path. Pretty damn dark path. And he becomes a very, very, very powerful being that is not to be messed with. Now, if Jacen Syndulla is to be the canon version of Jacen Solo, and he's going to turn to the dark side, well, something will have to put him down that path. In the death of his mom, after having already lost his dad years and years prior, to even a character like Grand Admiral Thrawn would be quite the catalyst to push him down a dark path. We already know that he has this Force sensitivity. We got that made very clear in Season 1. He will take after his father and probably even train with Ezra. But guess what? Ezra Bridger also has those dark side tendencies. In Season 3, I think it is, of Rebels specifically, you see him go dark side very quickly, thanks to Darth Maul. Darth Maul, love the guy. But is it possible, tell me in the chat, that Hera's death, the same way that Kanan's death was very meaningful to so many characters, could be that meaningful for these characters in a way where Jacen Syndulla turns to the dark side and becomes this incredibly powerful villain? What do we think? And before you start going, Mike, they're not going to kill off Hera. Like, what are you even talking about? They killed off Kanan. If it was 2017 and I was, or 18, when was it, 2018? When it was 2018, if I was sitting here going, they're going to kill off Kane and Jarrus, you'd all be like, Mike, you're an idiot. Mike, you're so stupid. And yet they did. Somebody big is going to die in this second season of Ahsoka, and most people assume it's going to be Ahsoka. I don't think it's going to be. She's already died in season 1, kind of. I think it's Hera. I think she's going to die in this second season. It's not going to be Thrawn. It's not going to be Akbar because he's in The Last Jedi. I think it's Hera Syndulla's time to go. But tell me what you think. Kanan's death meant something? Oh my God. Hera Syndulla's death wouldn't mean something? Obi-Wan's wife is not dying? There's a few things that need to happen before the sequel trilogy. One of the strangest things that needs to happen is the explanation of how the Ghost, the ship that Hera Syndulla pilots, is at the Battle of Exegol. Oh yeah, that's right. Did you not know that? The Ghost is at the Battle of Exegol. But who's piloting it? We have no idea. Could it be Hera Syndulla? Maybe. More likely, it's Jason Syndulla. But that would, I guess, take away from my dark side theory. But maybe he goes dark side and then comes back to the light. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe Ezra's there to teach him to not go to the dark side because he already learned that from his dad. It's like poetry. Here, instead of me saying Hera Syndulla is going to die, you guys tell me who's more likely to die than Hera Syndulla in season 2. Anybody? She's a character that's shown up in The Bad Batch, 4 seasons of Rebels. She's established in live action now. She's the mom of this group. She was the mom of the group in Rebels, and now she's, what, at least 10 years older than that? She's one of the, I guess, most important backbones to this group, to this form of Rebels. That if she died, it would mean the most to everybody else. Zeb is going to die? Zeb's death would not be nearly as impactful as Hera to as many people. As great as Zeb is as a character, Hera means so much to so many more. Sabine's going to die? Sabine is off with Ahsoka in the other galaxy. She's got the most job security of any character in this show, I think. Yeah. Baylan could die. Maybe. But even still, Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati, those characters are nothing compared to the backstory that we know of with Hera Syndulla. For example, it's like it would be like, in a way, now not really to the same extent, but in a way, it would be like Rex showing up in Ahsoka Season 2 and dying. Rex has this whole backstory behind him, 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. He shows up in Rebels. He shows up in Bad Batch. He's everywhere. And then he comes into live action, gets his heroic end, and it's like this great, feel-good, sad, tears everywhere type moment. That's the same thing with Hera Syndulla. Not to the same extent. She doesn't have as much screen time. But still, 4 seasons of Rebels. She's in the Bad Batch. She's now in live action. She's in the Squadrons game. She's in a bunch of different comics and everything. She's everywhere. It would mean the most to a lot of people. We'll put it that way. Do we know how Mon Mothma dies? Yes. That's the thing, too. We know a lot about a lot of these characters. Specifically, Mon Mothma, Leia, Luke, Han. The people we don't know, the people who have a lot of question marks around them, are the Ghost crew, Ahsoka, I guess Din Djarin and Grogu, obviously because they're brand new characters. But you have the Aftermath trilogy. You have Shadow of the Sith. You have comics. You have canon stuff that takes place in between the originals and the sequels that tell the story of a lot of these characters. So for Mon Mothma, we actually know what happens to her. We know that she eventually has to step down from being the Chancellor because she gets really sick, but that doesn't happen until years later. Hera made all these sacrifices just to die. It would piss people off. Yes and no. You can use Hera Syndulla's death as a way to get the attention of the New Republic. And I know that's like, Mike, that's stupid. Like, why would you just use her for that? Kanan's death is just to save Hera, Ezra, and Sabine. That's about it. To save the people that he loves. You could argue that that is way less important than what Hera Syndulla's death would mean to what taking down Grand Admiral Thrawn. Like, she could be the catalyst to actually make the New Republic go, holy shit, this is a real deal, because she's dead now, and now they have to deal with Grand Admiral Thrawn themselves and actually bring in reinforcements to actually help out the random bounty hunters and rebels and just random people who are trying to take down the remnant of the Empire. She could be the catalyst for that. Yeah. I'm still not over Kanan's death. Dave Filoni is good at a lot of things, okay? But he's really, really good at one thing. And that is killing off a character and making you care so much about it. From Clone 99 to Fives to, I guess, Echo, but he comes back, to Kanan Jarrus. Trying to think of any more. He makes random clones that you've barely known for 20 minutes die and you care about it. Jesse in Clone Wars Season 7. I think Hera Syndulla is going to die. Maybe Jason gets trained by Luke or Ezra. I think so. But Jason's not just going to leave his mom. He would if she's gone. He would if she's gone. Like, I actually think it'll take more than just Hera's death. Well, it'll be enough for Hera to die for Leia, or it'll be enough for Leia to convince the New Republic. And that's why I think Leia's going to be in this second season too, because of that death. Leia is in Rebels, so she already has the relationship with Hera, already has the relationship with the Ghost crew, I guess. But that's why C-3PO comes and helps in season 1, and I think Leia will be in the second season too. Where is Jason in the sequels? Well, my concern, is that he was at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple and dies to Kylo Ren in that Order 66 level event. I hope not. He could also be wherever Ezra is, because Ezra's not in the sequels either. And maybe they're off training, doing something somewhere else in the galaxy. I don't know. Jason being trained by Ezra would make the most sense. It would. It would. And he would be the one who could teach him to not fall to the dark side after his mom dies. Yeah, but what happened to the New Republic in The Force Awakens again, Mike? LOL. Well, they all died. You guys are like, Mike, you always make these death predictions. I watched billions of people die in The Force Awakens in the theater. As a how old was I? 14-year-old, 13-year-old sitting in the movie theater. I watched billions die to the Starkiller base. You know? I've watched billions, trillions probably, of characters die in Star Wars. And you're like, Mike, why do you make these death predictions like you're crazy? Because somebody's going to die. Star Wars doesn't have these happy endings that you hope for. It's always horrible. It's always this sad death that you don't want to happen. It's your favorite characters. They all die. I'm holding out hope, okay? Anakin, my favorite character, dead. Ahsoka, still kicking it. Darth Maul, spoiler alert, dead. Obi-Wan, dead. Yoda, dead. Ezra, still kicking it. Palpatine. I guess the verdict's still out on that one, but dead twice. I'm only being realistic. You guys just don't want your people to die. And I get it, But I'm just thinking of what's best for the story. And for Jason Syndulla's story specifically, but even Ezra, Zeb, Sabine, the backbone of that crew is Hera. And her death would mean so much to so many and be the catalyst to actually, come together to fight Grand Admiral Thrawn. The same way I thought Din Djarin's death would be that. And it still might. It would be crazy if, and I know this is probably not going to happen, but it would be crazy if 2026 had Din Djarin die in his own movie and then Hera Syndulla die in Ahsoka Season 2. It probably won't happen. But yeah. Yeah, you think the end of Return of the Jedi is a happy ending? Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, my favorite character, dies. He dies. But shoot off the fireworks. Just party with some Ewoks. I'm standing next to Luke, watching the Darth Vader suit burn, crying my eyes out. Where were we? Let's get back to this article, shall we? So, Hera Syndulla. Action-packed. She's going to be in it a lot more, and let's not forget her relationship with the great Grand Admiral. This is certainly in keeping with her character. In Rebels, Hera was the captain of a small rebel cell and was often in the thick of the action alongside Ezra Bridger and the rest of the Ghost crew. The second season has been teased to be an action-packed adventure, which will also feature Admiral Akbar versus Grand Admiral Thrawn in some space battles. So getting to see the Ghost in action will be pretty cool with her at the pilot, and that's probably a lot of the action she's talking about. But even on the ground level, this looks like Dathomir to me. She will be on Dathomir fighting Night Sisters, Stormtroopers, anything and everyone, Okay. Well, there's that. Actually, I think I had another. Oh, no. There was that. So, Hera Syndulla, Mary Elizabeth Winstead tells us a lot of action in Ahsoka Season 2. Now, this comes actually kind of as a surprise to me. Season 2, we just got over talking about how it'll have a smaller budget than the first season. And that kind of made sense to me because there's so many lightsaber duels in that first season, and I don't think there'll be as many in Season 2. I mean, think about it. Episode 1 had a lightsaber duel. Hang on. Let's pull up Disney Plus here real quick. Hang on, chat. By the way, 84% of you say no. You don't think Hera Syndulla will die in the second season? Well, 84% of you, be ready to be wrong because you're wrong. Okay. Episode 1 had a lightsaber duel, Sabine versus Shin Hati. Episode 2, I don't think did. Episode 3 did with Ahsoka. I guess it wasn't lightsaber on lightsaber, but Ahsoka in space. Episode 4 had like 6 lightsaber duels. Episode 5, Anakin versus Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds. Episode 6, maybe not, but episode 7 and 8 were filled with them. So I don't know. I already lost count. At least 8 lightsaber duels. 3 in episode 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At least 8 lightsaber duels in season 1. And I don't think we'll be seeing that in season 2. Maybe a couple, but not nearly that many. So I thought that that's where sort of the budget can come back with the lack of that. But there's going to be a war in our Star Wars. Grand Admiral Thrawn, the remnant of the Empire, versus the New Republic. And Hera Syndulla herself just confirmed that she's going to be in the thick of it. She'll be in that war. A ton of action, a lot more Hera. This also brings up another point about Ahsoka Season 2. We thought that Ahsoka Season 2 was going to be heavily focused on, yeah, that's right, Ahsoka. Whoa, crazy. there will be a split between two different galaxies. Ahsoka, Sabine, Huge Wang, Shin Hati, Balin Skull, all in this galaxy on Peridia. And then Hera Syndulla, Thrawn, all that stuff in this galaxy. How much time we were going to spend in either galaxy was kind of up in the air. I thought it would be a lot more focused on Ahsoka and then a little bit of this. But this puts that sort of out of the picture. Hera's going to have more screen time in season 2. She's doing more in this second season with more action. I mean, she's got to be in at least 6 of the 8 episodes in season, maybe even more than that. She's in episode 1, 2, 3, I'm guessing, right? She's definitely in 4. Maybe not 3. Okay, so we'll go she's in 4, 5, she's in 6, and 7. And she might not. Oh, she's in 8 because she's at the very end. She's in at least 7 of the 8 episodes of season 1. So she's going to be in more in season 2. That makes me believe that we're going to have sort of a 50-50 split of this galaxy and that galaxy, which is a little bit strange to me. That's not how I thought this was going to go. Yeah. So, I don't know. A lot more Hera Syndulla in season 2. Yeah. Ahsoka will be like the beeline in her own season 2. I don't know. I don't know if you will. I'm still mad about the clean-shaven Ezra. What? Why? Ezra's clean-shaven in Rebels. He's only got the beard because he was stranded in a different galaxy for 11 years. I look forward to seeing Abeloth. You and me both. You and me both. Going back to Hera Syndulla, though. When you go back now and watch the first season of Ahsoka with the idea that maybe this character is being set up for a big old sacrifice in season 2, it makes you look at it completely different. She's the one who goes to the New Republic and they deny her. They set her up as this crazy mother figure to Jacen Syndulla and all that. She's the rebel. She's not listening to orders, all that stuff. That's the type of character that's going to get herself into trouble in a second season. And that trouble might end up with her dead. Yeah. Abeloth dies? Definitely not. If Abeloth is introduced in the second season, there's no way that she's going to die. She'll probably be imprisoned somehow, some way. She will not die. No. Yeah. Indeed. Okay. So let's get to this Collider article real quick because they go a little bit deeper into what season 2 is going to look like. So this is the Collider article. This is where it first sort of dropped. And this is the same quote that we just did. She's going to be in the season a bit more, which is fun. A lot more action, which is cool. Blah, blah, blah. So when will Ahsoka season 2 be released? This has sort of been the big question for a couple weeks now. Her update comes just as production on Ahsoka season 2 hits a major milestone. Major milestone. Well, filming began in the UK in April of 2025, and several cast members, including Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who plays Sabine Wren, have already wrapped their work. Bordizzo recently posted behind-the-scenes silhouette photo of herself in the costume alongside Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka Tano, teasing that their dynamic will continue to drive much of the news story. Director Bryce Dallas Howard also confirmed that she has completed her 2 episodes, signaling that season 2 is nearing the finish line. Still, there is no signal on there's no sign, that some filming may continue through the end of October, especially with Hayden Christensen's recent convention cancellations. A strong hint that Anakin Skywalker's presence in the series might be bigger than anyone expected. I mean, I thought Anakin was going to have a big old role in this second season anyway. But you guys tell me in the comments. You guys tell me. Wait. I keep confusing Abeloth with the Aliens God Queen by mistake. Aliens God Queen? I don't know what that means. But sure. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Season 1 left things on a major cliffhanger. Major cliffhanger. While Ahsoka and Sabine are stranded on Peridea, the ancient planet tied to the Mortis gods, while Ezra Bridger, Iman Esfandi, made his long-awaited return to the New Republic. Season 2 is set to dive deeper into Peridea's mysteries and the spiritual side of the Force, while also exploring Thrawn's growing power and uneasy alliances forming in his wake, such as possibly the Hutts. Season 2 is expected to debut on Disney Plus in 2026. Stay tuned to collateral, blah, blah, blah. And as I have sort of predicted, is September, October of 2026 is what I would guess. That's my guess on that. Yeah. But this whole, I guess, hating Christensen having a bigger role in the second season, Anakin's going to be in there a lot as a Force ghost to hopefully explain what's going on here, but also in flashbacks. We're going to get the Mortis God flashbacks, I think, and we're going to see, hopefully, Ewan McGregor. Imagine Ewan and Mary, the married couple in Star Wars, actually in Star Wars together. And even bring back, blanking on her name now. Who's the young actress who plays Ahsoka? The young Ahsoka in the Clone Wars flashbacks? Chad? Do we know? Do we know? Slim says, we've known the Ahsoka Season 2 plot for a while now, since the first season's finale. Then please, by all means, tell me. The weirdest thing is the latest reports are saying that Abeloth might not even be in the season, which I think is a whole lot of hoopla because of the Mortis Gods sort of setup and all that. Ariana Greenblatt, thank you. Ariana Greenblatt playing young Ahsoka. But the Mortis God statues, this whole stopping the endless cycle of the good versus evil Abeloth seems like the no-brainer. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? You know? Now, so Ezra Bridger, don't really know what kind of role he's going to play in this. Sabine, Ahsoka, Huge Wang, Balin, Shin, all in Peridea. Hera Syndulla was the big question mark. Now, Mary Elizabeth Winstead gives us a big old update on that character. And it's great to see that she'll be in the action, and this image is definitely going to become one of the coolest things from Season 2 if she is truly on Dathomir with Chopper. Because that, I mean, we got this image too. Chopper with a minigun. It's going to be epic. I did pull up all of the leaked images that we got. You got Ezra here, suiting up. Probably go get in the fight. This is all the leaked concept art that we got from Star Wars Celebration. So you got Thrawn there with his awesome stormtroopers. Here you got Night Sisters fighting the New Republic guys with their magic. Oh, they're bringing back the bow and arrow type things that they had in the Clone Wars too, which is cool. I wonder what the reaction from the normie fans is going to be to the Night Sisters. Because they haven't really made their way over to live action yet, except unless you claim the Night Mothers in Season 1 to be Night Sisters, which I guess technically they are. But either way, the reaction from normie fans to witches in the Acolyte, which we are talking Acolyte today, which is crazy, that was bad. Bad is an understatement. That was horrible. Like, the fact that they were all women and that was the issue might become another issue when the Night Sisters come in Ahsoka Season 2. You know? Especially if you haven't watched the Clone Wars and you don't understand who these people are, you're going to be like, what's going on with this? What's going on with these Night Sisters who are extremely powerful? They're using magic. What's the deal with that? So it might be an issue. It might be an issue. I predict that the Night Sisters is going to be more involved, badder and meaner. Oh, 100%. Like, they're gonna, I mean, here they are taking out New Republic soldiers. They're gonna clearly be very much involved in this. Yeah. Normies aren't watching this. Well, normies, I, again, use it with a very broad stroke. A lot of people only watch either the movies or they only watch the live action stuff. Like, there's some people who are like, "Oh, animation, gross. I'm never watching that. It's for kids. It's a cartoon," you know? So, for those people, they've never met the Night Sisters yet. They don't know what's gonna happen. They don't see this. They don't know what this is. And the reaction to the witches in The Acolyte was bad. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully it's not the exact same reaction they had, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. There is more though here. Oh, Enoch. Enoch is one of the craziest things because season 1 introduces this character, the gold face, all that stuff. He's one character where nobody was like, "Who's under the mask?" I guess we didn't really care. But he's going to have a lot more action in season 2. He doesn't really do anything in season 1. But in season 2, I mean, you see him here striking down a New Republic officer. You're gonna see a lot of, I mean, a lot of action. I know we're talking about it, but you're gonna get a lot of action in the second season. Thrawn is on the offensive. It looks like fighting all these New Republic soldiers, Night Sisters, Enoch. They're all fighting New Republic people. Here we got the back of Shin Hati's head for some random reason. This season is gonna be insane. Oh my god! You got General Grievous, huge Wang over here. I mean, come on. Ahsoka season 2 just keeps on getting better. Anything we get, he's wielding 4 lightsabers as he's going to fight seemingly Shin Hati. Because this is the ship there, and this is the ship there. It looks like this is going toe to toe. Hu Yang versus Shin Hati. Who are you taking in this? Honestly, it would be crazy if Shin beats up Hu Yang. Because Hu Yang is a droid. He's been around for a while, but he's not like he's General Grievous. He's not like a master with a lightsaber. No, I don't think they'll kill Hu Yang. He's too important. He's too important. But Hera Syndulla, she's out of here. You can't kill Huge Wang, but you can kill Hera all day long. Oh, I did that to myself. Oh my god. Okay. So, yeah. Of course, he's never going to die. Look at him. He's General Grievous. Oh my god. But, in all seriousness, who are you taking here? Hu Yang or Shin Hati? Who are we taking? Huge Wang isn't in the sequel trilogy, so he's dead? Not necessarily. I mean, Ahsoka's not in the sequel trilogy. Does that mean she's dead? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. There's too many characters here that aren't in the sequels, so it doesn't mean that they're all going to be dead. It's like Ahsoka. She's not in the prequels, but she's not dead. She's not in Revenge of the Sith, but she's not dead. She's not in the originals, but she's not dead. Same with all the Ghost crew. They're not in the originals either, but they're not dead. You're taking Shin Hati in this fight? I think I am too. I think Shin's got, I mean, the training of Balin Skull, of course. And then, I mean, Hu Yang, as much as I love the guy, he's just a droid. Like, he's not a combat droid. He's just a droid. Yeah. Shin for the win. Shin for the win. Okay, continuing. Here we got some of the, like, hasn't been mentioned in a single leak. Unexplainable giant droid-looking thing. Ahsoka with her lightsaber out, ready to fight this giant thing. And, yeah, this. Like, it looks like the Iron Giant. Like, it looks like just this enormous droid The theory is that it could be protecting the prison that Abeloth is in, that the Mortis gods kept it there as sort of as a prison guard. That'd be kind of cool. I missed a super chat. Hang on. I missed a super chat. Let's see. Let's see. Did I? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Not a Fed says, Mike, how hyped are you for how hyped for Ahsoka are you? For me, it's a 10 million out of 10, I think that is. 10 million out of 10. Okay, well, let's ask the chat first. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Ahsoka Season 2? After talking about this Hera Syndulla stuff, how bigger of a role she's going to have in Season 2, how much more action-packed it's going to be, all this greatness about how she's going to die in Season 2. Of course, you know, you got the whole General Grievous, huge wang, all that stuff. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Ahsoka Season 2? What do we think? I mean, for me, it's a 10 out of 10. Ahsoka Season 1 is my favorite single season of Star Wars ever. So it's not really, you know, a competition. Plus, I think Season 2 will be even better than Season 1, which is just absurd. So, yeah, 10 out of 10. All day long. But tell me in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10. Holy crap. Wait, what the hell? Ron, what the fuck? Ron with the $50 super chat? What the hell? Says, oh my God, that's insanely generous. I appreciate that, Ron. Says, I just finished watching The Mandalorian Season 1. Nice. They do a really good job of explaining different things in 1 or 2 sentences with different characters. I think they'll do the same thing with Ahsoka Season 2 and The Mandalorian and Grogu. What do you mean by that? They do a great job of explaining different things with just a sentence or two. Oh, you mean like explaining the original trilogy and stuff that happened before? You mean? Like when they're explaining how the Mandalorian sort of fell and all that stuff? Yeah. Explaining like the siege of Mandalore and I mean the Night of 1,000 Tears, is it called? Something like that. But that super chat's insanely generous, Ron. That is wild. I appreciate that quite a bit. Super chats, memberships keep the lights on over here. Yeah. That's wild. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, we got 11 out of 10, 69 out of 10. Nice. Million out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 plus, 9.5, 69. Again, nice. 8.5, okay, 10. Okay. A million out of 10, 8.5. All right. Some pretty high scores. Yeah, I gotta go back and rewatch Mando Season 1, 2, and 3 before this Mando movie comes out. But, I mean, it's peak. Let's be honest. Yeah. We've been eating good as Star Wars fans. Let's not lie. For the last 6 years, since we haven't gotten a Star Wars movie in 6 years, we've been eating good. Mando Season 1, 2, 3, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, Andor 2, The Acolyte. Is that everything? Did I miss something? Clone Wars 7. The Bad Batch, 1, 2, 3. Tales, Jedi, Empire, Underworld. We've been eating good. Visions, thank you. We've been eating pretty damn good as Star Wars fans. And now we get to go back to the movie theater, where Star Wars belongs. And 2026 might be the greatest year for Star Wars content ever. It doesn't get much better than this, Jet. It doesn't get much better than this. Yeah. Okay. The Star Wars buffet was open. Yeah. And it's funny because more than ever, Star Wars got more crapped on in the last 6 years than anything else could possibly ever be. Again, it's all because Star Wars is this huge franchise. There's so many fans that so many people have different opinions, and that's fine, you know. You don't have to love everything. That's for damn sure. But it's just crazy that as a Star Wars fan, we are getting some incredible content and a lot of content. And it's all a lot of, you know, hating and arguing and chaos among Star Wars fans. And when you look at some other IPs that don't get any content, for example, Harry Potter. Now I know they're making the new Harry Potter show, but since what, 2012? 13 years they haven't made a Harry Potter movie. Or Lord of the Rings. They made the Hobbit movies in the early 2010s too. I guess they're making Rings of Power now, so I take that back. But there's some franchises that just die. And here we are as Star Wars fans getting some of the greatest content ever, and what are you going to do? Okay. Oh, Ron, you threw me off, Ron, You threw me off. Okay? That's insanely generous, and I appreciate it quite a bit. But let's move on to the George Lucas of it all. George Lucas. It's always great to hear the maker talk about Star Wars, but in this instance, not so great. I mean, he talks about Star Wars in the way that he's done with Star Wars. Now, I'm going to put up a poll in the chat before we even read this, because, by the way, 84% of you don't think that Hera Syndulla is going to die. It's all right. 84% of you are just going to be wrong. I don't know what you expect from me, okay? It's not my fault that you guys don't see what's happening. But do you think George Lucas will ever return to work on Star Wars? At any point, in any capacity, do you think he will ever return to work on Star Wars? Yes or no? Now, getting back to a super chat that came in earlier from Darth Plagueis Lives, I believe. George Lucas was on the set of The Mandalorian. We know that for a fact. We've heard rumors that he's been on set of like Ahsoka Season 1 and Book of Boba Fett and some other things. So he has been on set of these projects, thanks to Dave Filoni, his apprentice, and the connections that he has there. But it's not like he's sitting there writing or giving his input. Or maybe he gave his input on that day. But it's not like he's writing. He's not credited for anything. And I don't know if he ever will. However, having him on set of stuff like that, just in a couple days on set, like I truly think that he was probably on set for a couple days of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie too. Maybe even Ahsoka Season 2. Like they probably just call him up, be like, "Hey George, you doing anything today?" He's probably like, "Nah, I'm just chilling." And he's like, "Okay," because that's probably the words George Lucas says. He's probably like, "Nah, I'm just chilling, just hanging out with the wife, just kicking my feet up, just having a cup of Joe." And then they're like, "Okay, you want to come over and watch us film your greatness of an IP that you graciously sold to Disney for $4 billion?" He's like, "Absolutely." Then he comes over and, hangs out and watches it, So I do think that he'll be involved in that capacity moving forward. Like he'll just come to set a couple times here or there. Not like he's going to be credited for anything. He's not going to be on the in the credits after the episode or after the movie. Like he's not going to be involved in other than story created by George Lucas. World created by George Lucas. So other than that, I don't think he'll be involved. However, let's see what he had to say. Let's see what he had to say. Okay, so George Lucas confirms something a lot of Star Wars fans won't want to hear. It's been almost 15 years since George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, and with it, all things Star Wars. In the years since, the Star Wars franchise has grown massively, with the release of the sequel trilogy and various TV series, including The Mandalorian and Andor, and Ahsoka, and others. But while Star Wars has grown, fans had a mixed response to the expansion of the Star Wars universe at times. That's an understatement. With some even hoping that George Lucas might come back to make right what they deem to be wrong with Disney's version of the beloved galaxy far, far away. Now, however, George Lucas is putting in his final word on the matter. And fans are not going to like what he has to say. So for some people, there's always been this glimmer of hope that, oh, George will come back. He'll be the savior for Star Wars. Some may think that he needs to, come back and save it. I don't think so. But, what are you going to do? George sold the company for a reason. The Clone Wars wasn't making any money. He couldn't really afford to be paying all of these people who worked at Lucasfilm because they weren't making any money. And he wanted to retire. He wanted to do a sequel trilogy, but he didn't want to be 80 making a sequel trilogy. So instead, he thought, I'll give it to somebody else and they can do it. And he moved on. So here's what he had to say. Speaking with the Wall Street Journal via IGN, Lucas says he's moved on from Star Wars. Instead, now he's focusing on his latest project, the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, which is set to open next year in Los Angeles. A museum that is dedicated is decidedly not about Star Wars. Not. Yes, there will be Star Wars artifacts there. That is confirmed. But no, it's not all about Star Wars. Here we go. Disney took it over and they gave it their version. That's what happens. Lucas said on Star Wars. Of course, I've moved past it. I mean, I've got a life. Damn. Boom roasted. I'm building a museum. A museum is harder than making movies. Whoa, that's crazy. This museum is enormous. It's gonna be the. Do they have a picture here? No. Let me pull up a picture. George Lucas Museum. This museum is enormous. I mean, look at this thing. It looks like a spaceship itself, but it's enormous, and it's supposed to celebrate all things art. Not just Star Wars, but all the people, as George Lucas puts it, all the people who don't get the credit that they deserve for making Star Wars, or making anything, movies in general. Those are the people who are getting all the acclaim and reward from this giant building that is a museum. I think it was something like 150,000 pieces of memorabilia slash art slash whatever you want to call it in this museum. Like, it's going to be enormous. Some Star Wars, but just from things in general. Anything and everything. Yeah. Okay, so that's the museum itself. So let's keep going. Star Wars will be part of George Lucas's new museum, but only a small part. Lucasfilm's comments about moving on from Star Wars shouldn't be too much of a surprise for the fans of the franchise. I mean, for some it might be. But Lucasfilm has previously spoken about how some of his ideas of the original Star Wars films, including ideas about the Force, got lost in the mix when Disney took over and started making their sequel trilogy movies. At the time, Lucas even said that that was simply the way that it was when you give up control of something. I mean, obviously. This time, however, his comments feel a little bit more definitive, particularly when one considers this new museum project. The project is something he's been working on since 2018 and spent nearly $1 billion on. So if you want to know what he spent all that $4 billion that he made from Lucasfilm from selling Star Wars, at least a fourth of it went into this museum. And while it will feature a little bit of Star Wars, the real focus is on the collection that he's put together over 60 years. So he says this: there's one gallery out of 33. One out of 33. And I did it grudgingly. Sure, yeah. Lucasfilm said about the exhibit that will feature the designs of the Star Wars vehicles. I didn't want people to come to the museum and say, where's the Star Wars? So he only put it in there because he didn't want people to be like, where is Star Wars? This is a George Lucas museum. Where is the Star Wars? So there's 33 different galleries in this museum, and only one of them is Star Wars. Now, let's not lie here. The most packed gallery of this museum is going to be the Star Wars one, especially in 2027 when all these Star Wars fans are going to LA for Star Wars Celebration. There will be a ton of people in that one gallery. It will definitely be the most popular, but still, he had to put it in there. So, while Lucas is clear that his days of having or even wanting to have guiding hands on the Star Wars universe are over, and that his focus is somewhere else now, that doesn't mean he has fully washed his hands of the franchise. George Lucas has been known to pay visits to sets of Star Wars movies and television series. Back in 2024, Dave Filoni spoke about occasionally asking his advice, so he's still somewhat involved in the galaxy far, far away. He's just not, still credited or anything like that. And George Lucas's influence will always remain on Star Wars, even with a hands-off approach. New writers and creators coming into Star Wars still look to George Lucas's work to influence their own, something Star Wars New Jedi Order writer George Nalfi previously shed light on. You know what's really crazy? We haven't talked about the Rey movie, the New Jedi Order movie, in so long that when I read the name George Nalfi right there, I forgot that he was even writing it. I know that movie's gone through so many different writers, but that came to a shock to me right there. So, he goes on to say, the way I approach it is you look at what came before you. This is what George had to say. George Nalfi had to say. You look at the broad ideas of what they want to do, he said, meaning Lucasfilm, Disney, Sharmina Benchinoy, the director, and then you do what the writer does, and you try to put beats of a story together. Try to imagine characters, and then you present that with an understanding that it needs to honor, obviously, a long, incredible tradition of Star Wars. Now, we've heard this before, even Leslie Headland of The Acolyte, but all these content creators that have come out and worked on Star Wars, they've always praised George Lucas and have looked to the old to create the new. You'll never see a Star Wars project that gets made that just doesn't feel like Star Wars. There's always that anchor of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy and the stuff in the Clone Wars and the stuff that George did. So, there you have it. George has, quote unquote, moved on. He got a life, as he puts it, and he's creating this billion-dollar museum in LA. So, not the greatest news for a lot of Star Wars fans who were hoping and holding out hope, I guess, that George Lucas would someday return and be the shining light in the sky, the savior of Star Wars, so to speak. But still, very, very cool. Can't wait to go to this museum whenever I get over to LA. And yeah, I mean, no surprise there. But to hear that George Lucas is not only being consulted by with Dave Filoni and what he's doing, but also coming to set every once in a while, that's fine enough for me. The guy is, 79, 80 years old now? How old is George Lucas? Somebody help me on the chat. How old is George? He can retire, he's done his job. He created the greatest franchise of all time. He gave us what we wanted. Two incredible trilogies and 6 seasons of one of the greatest shows of all time. Can I get some good cups follow orders, chat? Bumpa. He's 81. He's 81. Let the guy retire. If he wants to come over and be on set for a day, great. If he doesn't, who cares? He got a life, okay? He got a life. He got $4.05 billion and a life. Yeah. So there you have it. There was one other article I had up here. This one. Oh yeah. We'll do that in a second. We'll hang on. We'll do that in a second. Let's do the Acolyte stuff first here. So, let's put up a poll. Let's start here. Let's start here. Nice cup. I have the Phantom Menace 3D release cup. That's awesome. That is awesome. Let's do this. Do you want the Acolyte Season 2? Yes or no? Do you want an Acolyte Season 2? Here is the latest and greatest in terms of the second season. Yes, it got canceled over a year ago now. Over a year and a couple months ago. But for some of you, myself included, that are holding out hope, here is the hope you've been waiting for. Wait, where is this? I swear I saved it. Oh, there it is.
Star Wars then.
Hang on. That's very... So, if you don't know who this is... Oh, let me show you. If you don't know who this is James Luceno. And actually, shout out to Ron in Star Wars Jedi Chat. They sat down and had a conversation with James. But so go check out that video if you want more. But James Luceno, right here on the right, is the director, is the writer, author of the Darth Plagueis novel. So one of the greatest Star Wars books ever to be written, the Darth Plagueis novel. It is still Legends to this day. It is still Legends. But he has something to say about The Acolyte Season 2. Let's take a listen.
There are a lot of things in Star Wars that, people who think about it, it's pretty risky.
Yes,
Yeah.
and speaking of, in the Acolyte, I don't know if you've watched the show, but
I did.
it makes an appearance.
Yeah, which surprised me.
Yeah.
I had no idea that they were kind of leading up to that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
very
a
cool.
1 second
Yeah.
thing, but
And I think I was saddened to hear that she didn't get another season.
Yes.
Because
yes.
she might have been able to go even deeper into the dark side.
Yes.
Pause. There's more to this, but saddened that she didn't get a second season. Aren't we all? I mean, maybe not all of us, but aren't we all?
If they were to do that with Plagueis, like maybe a second season, but focus more on Plagueis and would be the stranger, is that something that you would be a participant in? Like they would reach out?
Probably not.
No.
Probably not. No, only because there's always been this distinction between the writers and the film and television people,
Got it.
and rarely do people cross over.
Yeah.
So someone else would run with that.
Is there aspects of him that you would want them to be integrated?
I'm not possessive about that.
Okay.
Because, that's part and parcel of franchise work, that you can't get too close to it.
Sure.
Like a lot of the things that I wrote early on have been overwritten or been altered.
Yeah.
And I get it. Everybody, wants to have their own piece of it.
Yeah.
So you just have to, if you get too possessive, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
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 And I've known writers who have left the franchise because of that.
Oh, that's
Just
fine.
like, oh, how can we do this to my character? But I was sad about Acolyte that she didn't get. But that was another one of those series that was kind of controversial.
Yes. Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I was thinking about it because I felt like even the stranger, like that was a pretty gruesome scene with his battle with all of the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right up there.
Yes. Very similar to the parts of your book and Plagueis.
I mean, he's not wrong, okay? If this Acolyte actually got a second season, and it would focus on the stranger and Plagueis and Osha in that relationship. Obviously, the backstory of Chimera, the stranger, and Vanessa Rowe would be fleshed out and explained. But the trajectory of that show was the Sith. It's called The Acolyte. That's just establishing Osha as the Acolyte. She goes from being the hero to the villain, and we get to see that transition from that perspective of her being the main character. We get to see a training sequence of like Luke and Yoda on Dagobah, but it's the opposite. It's the villain version of that, where Chimera they're on Baldemnik. Is it Baldemnik? I think it's Baldemnik. Baldemnik, and he's bringing her to the dark side and explaining the dark side to her and training her in the ways of the dark side. It's incredible. So with that, and of course Plagueis being in there, James Luceno wrote the Plagueis novel. Wanting to see more of that character would be great. In the gruesomeness, of course, of episode 5, where Jackie dies and Yord dies. Spoiler alert. So there's that. But I mean, do you guys agree with him? Do you want a second season of The Acolyte? Tell me in the chat. And if you still say no, would you want a Plagueis show? A continuation of the Acolyte story with the stranger, with Plagueis, but it's not called The Acolyte. Because honestly, that would be the best bet at this point. Because as much as I love the first season of The Acolyte, I don't think they will do a second season just because of the fan backlash that it would create for greenlighting a second season of that show. And I think the best bet for them to do would be to make it like a Plagueis show or a Stranger show or something that's not called The Acolyte, just to, make it happen and not have the 14% or whatever it is on Rotten Tomatoes when it came in, or what was it, 13%, something like that. Very, very low score. Very low score. Yeah. Man's PD, Man SPD says, "Hey bro, how you doing? Do you know me? Do I know you? Not by your username. Should I know you? I'm doing good though. Hope you're doing good. Yeah. Trim it down to just Plagueis and the Stranger and such. Just keep it simple and easy. Yeah, I mean, if you title it Plagueis, it's going to get people so excited because you can transition from the Stranger stuff, from the I guess the cliffhangers that were in the Acolyte, and then you can transition it into a young Palpatine series as the years go by, because the opening scene, the opening crawl, I guess, it doesn't really crawl up the screen, but the opening words of the Acolyte are 100 years before the rise of the Empire. Not before the Phantom Menace, before the rise of the Empire, meaning the rise of the Empire is about 19 ABY, right? 19 ABY is when Order 66 happens. So right after 19 ABY. So what year does the Phantom Menace take place in? Do we know, Chad? It's at least 13 years before? 13, 14 years? Hang on, let's look it up. What year does the Phantom Menace take place? Let's see. 32 BBY. So, yeah, 13 years before. I was right. Okay. So 13 years before, 32 BBY, meaning that 100 years at least takes off 13 years. So you're looking at now, I guess, 87 years. So you're 87 years, give or take, before the Phantom Menace. That means in those 87 years, you have to go from Plagueis with the Stranger and with Osha to, and by the way, the Stranger's got to be at least 100 years old. That's sort of what's revealed in the first season of The Acolyte. But so he could live for a lot longer, but maybe he dies to Plagueis, or maybe somebody else kills him. Maybe Vanestra Rowe kills him. I don't know. Maybe Osha kills him, like the apprentice kills the master. Either way, in those 87 years, give or take, you have to go from the Stranger, Osha, and Plagueis to just Plagueis, and then him getting, and I guess you can bring in Tenebris unless he's already dead, but then you can bring in a young Palpatine. Probably, well, how old is Palpatine in the Phantom Menace? How old is Palpatine in the Phantom Menace? Palpatine is 52 in the Phantom Menace. 52. Meaning he's born 52 years before, which means he's born 35 years after the events of the Acolyte. 35 years. That's not that long. If we're being honest, like in terms of Star Wars, that's not long at all. So 35 years, you can do a season of Plagueis, which is ending the story of the Acolyte, season 1, continuing it, explaining the Vanestra Rowe and Chimere relationship, maybe killing off Chimere, or maybe killing off Osha, or maybe both, because Plagueis needs them dead, or whatever happens there, whatever their relationship is. And Plagueis has to deal with them. And then some 30 some odd years later, he finds, maybe 40 some odd years later, he finds this young boy, teenager-ish area. Probably, when does he find him in Legends? Probably around 17, 18? Either way, around the teenager years of Palpatine, he finds him on Naboo, and the whole story goes from there. He kills his family and all that stuff. He goes to the dark side, and everything goes from there. It would be incredible. We could get 3 seasons. First season of finishing up the Acolyte stuff, setting up Plagueis, maybe even giving us Tenebris too, and all that greatness. Maybe it's possible that Chimere, the stranger, really is just doing this all on his own, and Osha is just his apprentice. That's possible. And Plagueis is watching him from the cave because Tenebris, his master, sent him there to kill this fake Sith. This guy who's making too much noise to the Jedi, and they can't have it. So maybe you get to see Plagueis kill the stranger and kill Osha and put all that to bed. And then you move on from there to see Plagueis get a full season of just him with his master, see how he kills his master, and then go to Palpatine and young Palpatine into the Phantom Menace. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. But tell me in the chat, is that something that you would want? He finds him on Naboo? Yes. Well, yes. I mean, Plagueis is a Mun, and he's very involved with the banking clan. And specifically, I just re-listened to the Darth Plagueis novel, and I can't even remember his name. Plagueis' real name is... I can't remember. Chat? Anybody? The hell's Plagueis' real name? This is killing me. Somebody's got to help me out. I have no idea. I don't know. His name's not actually Darth Plagueis. Palpatine is Darth Sidious. Anakin is Darth Vader. Dooku is Darth Tyrannus. What the hell's his name? You're going to make me look it up, chat? Fred Plagueis? Oh my god. Watto? You guys are the worst. Okay. Let's... Plagueis' real name. His name is Joe? No, it's not Joe. Hugo Damask. Jeez. Hugo Damask II, apparently. Hugo Damask. So he operates under Damask Holdings, a part of the banking clan, and he goes to Naboo on sort of on a business term as Hugo Damask. He's much like Palpatine. Palpatine's in the spotlight, sort of, as a senator, but secretly he's a Sith Lord. Plagueis is the same. He's hiding in plain sight as Hugo Damask. So as Hugo, he finds Palpatine and then sort of over time brings him to the dark side, makes him kill his family in a way, makes him kill his family. And yeah, they go down that whole rabbit hole. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's Higo Damask. Is it Higo? I know it's spelt that way, but I thought it was still Hugo. Hugo? Hugo? Higo? Higo Damask. Either way, you get the gist. Damask? Like hidden behind a mask? Yeah, kind of. It's his last name. I mean, I didn't make it up. So, going back to what James Luceno, who wrote that Plagueis novel that we're talking about right now, he thinks that this should get a second season to explore that character's past. And he even brings up how he wouldn't be involved because the writers and the filmmakers don't really cross over like that. And that's a known thing in Hollywood, not just in Star Wars, but in Hollywood in general, which is kind of a bummer because you would love to see like Timothy Zahn when they're doing all the Thrawn stuff. That guy's written 9 novels on the character of Thrawn. You'd think you'd want that guy. And honestly, when they did season 1, he did have some sort of input on that, bringing Thrawn to live action. But with season 2, I certainly hope they did more. Doesn't sound like they did because we didn't get any word of that, but hopefully. But yeah, he talks about how screenwriters and writers, they don't really cross over. They're 2 different breeds, if you will. Yeah. You and me both, Nathan. You and me both. That just scared the crap out of me. That just played on its own. I didn't even touch anything. There's a ghost in here! That was like a jump scare, chat. I've been rewatching Stranger Things. Give me a 1 into the chat. All right, a little bit off topic, but we'll just go through it quick. Give me a 1 into the chat if you've seen Stranger Things. I'd like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Are you making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I'll take a peanut butter and jelly. I'll take a peanut butter and jelly. Okay, but give me 1 to the chat if you've seen Stranger Things. I watched it as it came out. I didn't realize season 1 came out 9 years ago, but I just rewatched all of season 1. I just watched the season 1 finale last night. So, you know, it's a little scary, you know, just a little bit. Demogorgons, the Upside Down. It's scary. So, one of the greatest shows of all time. Honestly, as I'm rewatching it, I'm like, this might be the greatest TV show of all time. That's non-Star Wars, of course. Because it's like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Stranger Things, depending on how it ends, because ending is a big deal. Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad both have incredible endings. Same with like Andor, incredible ending. So it's the same thing. Like season 5, if it's a good ending, then it could be the greatest show of all time. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but that's just why I got jump scared so much, because I've been watching too much Stranger Things, and that scared the shit out of me. Okay, so where were we? Oh, I don't know if these were new or not. I think they are. But these are sort of behind-the-scenes official looks at Ahsoka here. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Badass as ever. Oh, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. Okay, so you know how last week we did those horrible, I guess, for lack of a better word, horrible. Hang on, we got a super chat. 1 sec. Not a Fed says jalapeno peanut butter and jelly. Don't look for the mic in your wall. You know what's really funny about that? Today, I actually started planning it out with measurements and stuff. I might change my entire setup down here. So if in an upcoming live stream, the background looks completely different, that you'll know that I went through with it. I don't know if I am going to or not. We have a couple days until Tuesday's live stream, so maybe I will. But yeah, I might change the entire setup over here. So the background might look completely different, and we might be able to expand a little bit. So we'll see. But while I do that, I'm going to be looking for a microphone in my wall now. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so last week we looked at the top 50 characters list from who wrote that, Empire or something. It was horrible. It was quite bad. And then after that, we looked at a best Star Wars movies by their villains list. So it was the best movie by their villain. Now, Screen Rant posted a similar list, but instead of the movies by their villains, it's the shows, ranking Star Wars TV shows by their villains. So, first and foremost, in the chat, who do you think is going to be number 1? Of all the shows that we have, think about it. The Acolyte's got The Stranger. I don't know if they're doing animated, but The Bad Batch, I guess, is Dr. Hemlock. You got, I guess, the Clone Wars would be Palpatine, or Dooku, or Grievous, or all 3, or Asajj Ventress. I don't know if they're doing animated, but we'll go to live action instead. So, the Acolyte's got The Stranger. Kenobi's got Vader and the Inquisitors. Andor has got Dedra. It's got Krennic. I mean, it's got others too, but Cyril, I guess. Then you got Mando, which is Moff Gideon, through and through. Ahsoka, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Balin Skull. Skeleton Crew, it's got Jod. He's a good one. Boba Fett's got the Pikes and Cad Bane. So who do we think's the top? Top tier, who's the best? I don't know. Hang on, let me take this off the screen real quick. Go see if there are animated ones on this. There are animated ones on this. So Resistance is in. Clone Wars is in. All that stuff is in. So what do we think is the top greatest Star Wars show by its villains? Not by the show itself, just by the villains in the show. For that matter, you have to go with Rebels. Thrawn, Vader, all the Inquisitors. It has to be. Maul. Maul is even in Rebels too. I mean, maybe Clone Wars, I guess, has a similar lineup, but I don't know. It's hard to beat Thrawn, Vader, and the Inquisitors. All right, let's see it. Who's number one? Andor, Moff Gideon, so Mandalorian. I'm going with Rebels. Rebels. All right, let's see. Let's go through it. Starting at number 11, Star Wars Resistance. No complaints here. Resistance I did watch finally this year. It's a big year for me. Watch Star Wars Resistance, you know. It's not like the worst thing I've ever laid my eyes on, but it's not really that great, you know. It doesn't do much at all. I guess General Hux is technically the villain here, but, you know, not really for every episode. Yeah, Commander Pryor, whatever his name is, he's more of the villain, I guess. No. You can't put Cad Bane in the frickin' Pikes at number 10. What? Cad Bane's the greatest bounty hunter of all time. What are we doing here? Unfortunately, Boba Fett is widely viewed as Star Wars' worst live-action show. Disagree. This is particularly disappointed by the titular lead, Boba Fett. It's one of the most beloved Star Wars characters dating back to the original trilogy. Nevertheless, the show failed to captivate audiences. This extended to its main show's villain, Cad Bane. Cad Bane was introduced several years earlier in the Clone Wars. Blah, 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 blah. Yet Cad Bane came along to the show's other main villains, the Pike Syndicate, as far from being the best villains in the Star Wars shows. There better be 9 villains that are better than this. There better be 9 shows that have better villains than this. Because Cad Bane is getting severely underrated right here. Maybe I'm just taking him from the Clone Wars? Yeah, maybe. Okay, maybe. Okay, I'll give you that much. But his showdown with Cobb Vanth, his showdown with Boba Fett, maybe. Maybe I'm using my bias of the Clone Wars with this, but still. Here we go. Number 8, Skeleton Crew. Jod is a great character, okay? I wouldn't say he's a great villain, so I agree with this. I don't think he's a great villain. He's just a great character. Like, he's a good, well-rounded arc. He starts as sort of a hero to the kids and then becomes the villain eventually. I still think Skeleton Crew is severely underrated, though, so there's that. So Jod, they're saying, is the main villain of this, which makes sense. You have the pirates, too. What was the werewolf guy's name in this? Brutus. Yeah, they're good. Number 8, The Bad Batch. I kind of agree with this, too. As great as Dr. Hemlock was and his death in Season 3 was awesome, that finale of Season 3 of Bad Batch is so underrated. I think The Bad Batch as a whole is not like the greatest thing, but Season 3 specifically, and it's due to the setup of Season 2 and 1, it's another perfect example of why you can't cancel a show after one season. It is the perfect end. The Season 3 is the perfect season. Yeah. So Hemlock, not the greatest villain, but still. And Rampart, too, but he becomes a hero at the end. Number 7, Ahsoka. Again, I would usually lose my mind at this because Ahsoka's a great show. There are better villains. Balin Skull's not really a villain, although he does fight Ahsoka with a lightsaber, although Shin does fight Sabine with a lightsaber. It's not like they are villains, you know? Like, we're talking about the same pool as Darth Vader here. Vader is in Rebels and in Kenobi. So it's not really... I accept this. You know? Okay, moving on. Number 6, Kenobi. I can't find in my brain 5 better villains than this. I know the Mandalorian is still out there, so you're telling me that Moff Gideon is better than Darth Vader? I don't think so. This is blasphemy. The rematch of the century alone? What? Okay, Kenobi. Let's see their reasoning for this. Sadly, it didn't go quite right, as many took issue with the show for various reasons, including issues with the one of the show's villains, Reva. Okay, I guess they're putting Reva in there too. In the Imperial Inquisitors. All right, fine. Reva, I guess. But Vader, when you're talking Vader in this series, I mean, Vader's perfection. Okay. Number 5, Rebels. I disagree with this. Rebels is not just Thrawn. It's Thrawn and Vader and the Inquisitors. Grand Inquisitor, well, all of them, for the most part. All that are still alive at the time. Because Ahsoka fights a bunch of Inquisitors, Kanan fights the Grand Inquisitor, and then you have Vader. This is wrong. Rebels should be 1. 5 is far too low. Well, let's see. Thrawn got to start in Rebels, blah, blah. So they just focus on Thrawn. They act like they haven't even seen this show before. Thrawn is not the main villain. I mean, he is for season 3 and 4, but not for season 2 or 1. Ridiculous. 4, The Clone Wars. I agree with this. Still think it's kind of low, though. Moff Gideon, the Mandalorian still hasn't popped up yet. We're still missing a couple that are like, what are we doing here? Rebels, Kenobi, Clone Wars, these should be higher. At 4? You're talking a list of Darth Maul. I didn't even put in Darth Maul. Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress, Palpatine. And there's 4 better than this. All right, here we go. 3, The Acolyte. I like The Acolyte as much as the next guy. 3 might be a little bit high. Actually, yeah, 3 might be a little bit high. It's not better than Rebels. It's not better than Clone Wars. It's not better than Kenobi, I guess. The Stranger is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. Period. End of sentence. Top 10 at least. I want more of him, of course. Cortos's stuff is great. The episode 5 of him killing all those Jedi was come on. You even got a tease of Plagueis at the end. Still don't think it should be number 3. Number 2, The Mandalorian. Okay, this list blows. Okay, I don't know what to do anymore. This is horrible.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Moff Gideon? Love the guy. Giancarlo Esposito is the GOAT. But you're telling me that he is better than Maul, Dooku, Ventress, Palpatine, all the villains of the Clone Wars, or Vader, Thrawn, the Inquisitors, all the villains of Rebels, or Darth Vader himself in Kenobi. This means that number 1, chat, if you've been doing the math, have you been mathing with me, chat? This means number 1 is Andor. If you've been keeping up, that means when I scroll down right here, it's going to be Andor. What are we doing? What are we doing? All right, let's read it. The Mandalorian has become the most beloved part of the franchise, blah, blah, blah. It certainly includes Moff Gideon, who's the main villain, portrayed by blah, 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 blah. Plenty of other blah, 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 blah. Okay. And number 1 is Andor. Orson Krennic is in 2 episodes. Dedra Miro is great. Cyril is great. Partagas, great. This isn't even close. This isn't even close. I still put Rebels at 1. Maybe I'd put Clone Wars at 1. It's like 1 and 1A. Rebels, Clone Wars, Kenobi. Rebels, Clone Wars, Kenobi. Then maybe the Acolyte. Just because of how powerful the Stranger is by himself. Then you add Plagueis, you add Osha. Then Ahsoka. I mean, if we're going off of villains, how they're written and how powerful they are, it's not even close. All right. This list had its moments. But all in all, who the hell's making these lists? I think we're going to make our own list someday. No, Krennic is a great villain. Don't get me wrong. He's in 2 episodes. The interrogation scene, I guess he's technically in 3 because he's at the very end of the last episode. But he's in the interrogation scene with Dedra in the second to last episode, and then he's in episode 2 or 3 or something like that of the first episode of season 2 of Andor. That's it. Crazy. All right, but on that note, seems like a great place to kick off. Let me end this poll. 71% of you. Shocking. 71% of you still want the Acolyte season 2. I am definitely on board with that. But it's more likely that we get like a Plagueis show, which would be great. A Plagueis show that turns into a young Palpatine show that finishes off the cliffhangers of season 1 of the Acolyte, but also gives you Plagueis and his story, and then gives you young Palpatine and his story. Perfection. Pleases pretty much everybody. You're still going to get some backlash from people who are like, oh my God, Osha's in this? Oh my God, the Stranger's in this? But, for the most part, you'll have hopefully everybody pleased. You give them Plagueis, you give them Palpatine, and you'll go from there. But with that being said, smash a freaking like in the stream if you have not already. How many likes do we have, chat? How many likes do we have? What the heck? Get some more likes on this. And huge shoutouts to Ron for the insanely generous super chat. Not a Fed for confusing the hell out of me. And Darth Plagueis Liz for the very generous super chats. I appreciate it quite a bit. If you are not yet already, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join it immediately. And yeah. Watch out for a short in about an hour. And yeah. And may the force be with you. Always. Oh yeah, what a great stream, what a great show. Hera Syndulla, Mary Elizabeth Winstead herself, talking Ahsoka Season 2. Love to see it. George Lucas, and telling us how much more action-packed the second season will be, sort of pretty much giving us what this war in our Star Wars is going to look like with behind-the-scenes images and concept art for the second season. George Lucas, giving, I guess, bad news to Star Wars fans who were holding out hope that he would one day return, and all that for the Acolyte Season 2. What a crazy time to be a Star Wars fan. It really, really is. If you haven't checked out the video from yesterday about all the Mandalorian and Grogu news, go check that out. It's about, 8.5 minutes long, condensing all the news we talk about here on these live streams. So go check that out. Smash a freaking like on that too as well while you're at it, and leave a comment and all that greatness. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody.